Okay, so this is a live video, but more than likely it's too early in the morning, so most people are probably sleeping or working or whatever. So I really don't expect a bunch of people to tune in on this. Just figured I would take advantage of the fact that the internet in my house is a lot faster than the internet outside my house. So normally where I do live videos while I'm driving or whatever, so this one will be at home while I work. So I've made a bunch of changes at home to make my job easier. One of them is upgraded to a bigger desktop, have two monitors, so on the desktop all day long, my handheld for loading tunes is running, all the customer information is up, everything I need to do is on that computer. Then on my laptop, god damn it, hold on. Desk can't seem to stand still. So my laptop is where I do all the computer tuning and the coding and everything else. Something cool, at least cool in my mind, that a lot of people might not understand what I'm talking about is, so when we do the computer coding, it is basically binary. So let me just swap this over so you can kind of see here. Not binary, I do it in hex, so it's all hexadecimal, right? So when another company deletes these tunes, they have a lot of super expensive software that they like to brag about. Like, hey, look, we have all this expensive software that we do stuff with. So check it out. So you can buy programs like SwiftTech and a few other programs like that, where you just slap your ecodiesel file or any file into the SwiftTech software, and you just say, hey, I want the GR deleted, I want the DPF deleted, blah, blah, blah. You hit a couple buttons, and it deletes the file. Now, it doesn't fully delete the file, as it does leave a lot of crap in there, because what it does is it uses a computer algorithm in order to find things, delete them, and remove them. And it doesn't always work properly, so the person's got to go back through and find what it didn't delete. But the thing is if it works good enough, the file gets sent on its way like that. So what you have is you have all these companies that put out these files that they relied on a computer to basically run an algorithm and to find specific tables based on other files that people have done in the past in order to delete them. Now, I could afford that software if I really wanted to, but the thing was it's too problematic for what it is, and everyone I know that is really big into software and tuning, they don't use it, and if they have used it, they've hated it because they don't want to have to go in and do more work. The whole point of buying it was to make their job easy. So what I did is, or what I do is, I spend a lot of money buying the actual definition file for the ecodiesel. So I have definition files for the old ones, definition files for the new ones, and basically you start mapping the check engine lights. So let's say if you let's make an example. Underboost P0299, one of the dumbest check engine lights that the ecodiesel has, because it could be set for a million reasons. So what we do is we go through the file and we find this, what we call a check engine light pointer, which is a space in the file that basically says, hey, this is where we locate the start of the check engine light. Now let me, you know what, I'm gonna go through and I'm gonna find it real quick, okay? And once I find it, I will show you. All right. I don't think this is it, but we will take a look here. Well, whatever. So basically, there's a place in the file where each check engine light is stored. And basically it looks in the file. So for check engine light P299 underboost, bam, there it is. Literally the word 299. Okay, now if you were to remove that 299 and put a 0 there, you would get a check engine light that shows P and 4 zeros, which that's pointless. That doesn't tell you anything, okay? And a lot of other companies have done that, and that's how you get these stupid flag check engine lights on a lot of these other companies' tunes. There's a check engine light, there's either no code or a P and 4 zeros. So what they don't know how to do is, from there you have to find the link to each one. There is one more link to a blank place where there's nothing, and then there's two links to what we call masks, which when you remove the mask or cover the mask up, it removes the light forever. And then there is one where the check engine light setting is. So what you do is you set the check engine light setting to 0, and then you either max out or 0 the masks depending on the file, and that's how the check engine light is removed forever. Now, we are, as of right now, the only company that sells tuning for the ecodiesel. Also, I know it's a mess right there. Ignore that, lazy boy, with all of my kids' blankets and craps on it. Don't live in a trailer or a shithole, okay? So, but we're the only company right now that takes the ecodiesel and fully removes everything in there. So if we're going to install a Banks intake manifold, we're going to find every single code related to the Banks intake manifold. So first off, you find the table for the swirl valves. You shut the swirl valves off. Then what you do from there is you find each check engine light for the swirl valves, like a P200 and P201, whatever they are. Then you got to find the throttle valve. So 2E8, 2E9, and like 3 or 4 other codes. You have to find each one of those codes. And not only do you have to turn the check engine light, or not only should you don't have to turn the check engine light, you should turn the check engine light. So you turn the check engine light off for each one of those codes, okay? Then from there, you find the mask for each one of those codes, and you have to turn off both masks for those codes. That way, in no situation whatsoever can those codes be flagged. That piece of equipment is no longer there. The car should not be looking for that check engine light. That's how we get weird check engine lights. That's how we get remote starts that don't work and shit like that. Now, the reason I'm talking about this is because I have looked at six or seven different companies' tunes at this point, okay? Not a single one of them does every step needed to fully shut off everything on the ecodiesel. And that's why you get weird random issues. You always go on the ecodiesel forums and someone says, hey, I have this company's tuning, I have a check engine light, I don't have a code, what's wrong? Hey, I'm in limp mode, but there's no code, what's wrong? It's because they didn't remove 100% of what they need to remove for each check engine light they removed. A lot of times they remove just a shitload of check engine lights and hope that does the best. And sometimes, as long as everything's installed, nothing's wrong, that will do the best. But it doesn't stop you from having issues down the road. So every file from this point on, as of today, sorry, freaking kink in my neck from these computers, every file that we send out from this point today is 100% fully has everything removed the way it should be. Every customer can take our files and run Banks intake manifold, throttle delete, full stage 2. When you buy stage 1, you can get full stage 1, everything from this point forward, and it's gonna be a little bit slow rolling everything out. You'll be able to do all of that. There's no, oh, this one's missing, oh, we have to test this. That's not how it is anymore. We have gone through, I shouldn't say we, it's just me. I've spent all this time this week going through and basically redoing all my files from scratch. Basically started completely over and was like, you know what? Like, I want to make sure that we don't have any bugs or any issues, so I'm going to go through and I'm going to make sure everything is done 100% the right way. There's not going to be a check engine light where the check engine light is shut off, but the mask is still turned on, causing a limp mode. All that's removed. Now, with that being said, all of my files from this point forward are going to have code P0299 removed. Now, competitors and other people are going to probably say it's a bad idea, but it's not. So many things cause a P299, it's absolutely ridiculous. With that being said, if you have a true, real underboost condition, you will absolutely know because your vehicle will run different. It'll take longer to make boost. Your fuel mileage will change, things like that. There's a simple things to check. Make sure your mass airflow should be clean. Make sure all of your intake and intercooler pipes are tight. Make sure your plate on your intake manifold is tight. The plate on your turbo is tight. Make sure that your map sensor is cleaned and properly seated. You can always take your map sensor out, clean it, and oil up the O-ring and put it back in. That's basically it. Just check all that stuff, keep that stuff updated. That's all stuff on the ecodiesels that you already should be doing as an owner, okay? But what this allows you to do is if you have an issue and you're super far away from home, you'll be able to drive home safely and at a reasonable speed without having to worry about a limp mode related to specific codes. What we also removed is a check engine light specifically related to the thermostat, and this is the big one. So last summer, I removed my thermostat from my motor, put everything back together, and tested it out. And my coolant never got hot. It never stayed too cold. It stayed at a pretty reasonable speed, or a pretty reasonable temperature. Now, it kept setting a code. I believe the code was a P0128, basically saying, hey, coolant didn't get up to temp fast enough. Well, I was running like 185, 190, so it was up to temp enough for something that didn't have all the crap underneath it. I didn't keep it in long enough to test it over winter, but now if somebody tows a lot, they can take their thermostat out during the summer if they want. No issues. I have tested it. I've pulled 12,000 pounds with no thermostat. Now, what I have personally done with my truck going forward is I take the thermostat out. Okay, and the thermostat's extremely small. Okay, and the problem, so your thermostat's like this. It's like a 2-inch thermostat, right? Well, the plug in the middle is like 1 inch to 1.25 inches. Very small plug, which means that's your flow. Okay, now the way a thermostat works is a thermostat actually does restrict flow. And the reason why a thermostat restricts flow is so that the flow cannot go through the radiator too fast to the point where you don't get the cooling efficiency, okay? So what I've done is I take my thermostat and I take a drill bit and I drill, there's like 8 or 10 1/8-inch holes in the thermostat so that I have constant flow through the thermostat, okay? And then when it opens up, I have the rest of the flow. Now the reason for that is because the thermostat in the ecodiesel is set at 208 degrees. It is set at 208 degrees because in diesels with emission systems, you want the temperature to go to an extremely high temperature to help with making it more efficient with burning off fuel and helping heat up the DPF for the regen process and things like that. When that stuff is gone, you no longer need it. There's no reason for a diesel to ever run over 190 degrees. Even 200, no reason for it, okay? So I take the thermostat, I put a couple holes around on the outside. It does not increase the flow that much, but it does increase it a little bit, and it also has flow moving all the time. Because if the thermostat doesn't open until 208 degrees, it means that you have no flow through this thermostat until 208 degrees. Okay, so by putting holes in it, it allows constant flow. So even if the thermostat doesn't get to a temp where it pops open, the coolant can still move through the motor and through the radiator. It might move slowly, but it still moves. Okay, so for those of you with half-ton front ends, that might actually help you guys out a lot. I have a 2500 front end. I have constant airflow movement, okay? Like I actually have to restrict my air. There's too much air going through. Typically, like every other one of my videos, this video has pretty much rambled on. I see viewers pop in, pop out, pop in, pop out. There are some people that down the road will watch this whole video, so I hope that there's some information in here that will help you guys out. With that being said, I don't know if I have a customer base that's big enough to teach people how to use WinOLS and these extra features that we have when tuning things like the ecodiesel. So if there are people that have WinOLS and that are interested in learning how to do certain things on it, feel free to reach out to me because I will make videos. I just don't want to make a video if there is no use for the video. And that obviously is funny because I do have a shitload of videos that I have no idea what that guy just said. There's a shitload of videos obviously that some people have no use for, like when I changed the wheel bearings on my Ford Explorer, but there's a shitload of views on it because apparently people with Ford Explorers need to change their wheel bearings. Trying to think if there's anything else that I needed to say. New trans tuning is doing amazing. It'll continue to be released. I think that's about it. So I'll end that video here.